For more, we are now joined by political analyst Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast. Professor, thank you so much for joining us on the agenda, and good morning. We are now at the Nelson Mandela Bay on the 7th mayor in 7 years. Surely the revolving doors of mayors cannot be good for the development of the metro.
Now, of course, I think my reading of the situation is that the EFF, alongside the ANC, on a large scale, have a strategic alliance. A case in point is the city of Johannesburg, and also, I think, Ekurhuleni. So I think both of them have agreed that none of them should hold the position of mayorship. And that has paved the way for smaller political parties to ascend to the mayorship's position. No wonder Gary van Niekerk has ascended to the position that he holds at the moment. I mean, the same goes to the city of Johannesburg. But I think under the current circumstances, the coalition in question will be short-lived, largely because of a lack of a framework to guide it. I think political elites in general have a tendency to rush into forming these coalition formations without developing a conflict management mechanism to deal with their own internal contradictions. But also the other interesting phenomenon is that after the democratic outcomes of local government, most of opposition parties, they said that anyone but the ANC. But now you see them joining forces with the ANC, meaning that they are not interested in promoting development for the majority, but they are interested in power, in my view. So I'm not optimistic, even though it will be interesting to examine what the current leadership in the Bay is going to do in the next 100 days. But I don't have high hopes now.
To what extent do you think these musical chairs changing will guide the perception of voters as we head closer to the 2024 elections? Because it does come across like political parties themselves cannot be trusted. If in one hand you say we will never get into bed with political party A, yet you find yourself in it, surely that may likely work against them come next year.
I think the musical chairs will worsen lower voter turnout, because my view is that there is a connection between lower voter turnout and service delivery. If there is a slow pace of service delivery, on the other hand, voter turnout tends to be low. Now, the challenge with that, it poses a danger to the credibility of the elections, and also it begs the question about whether our democracy is being consolidated or not if people don't participate on a large scale in the elections. Yeah. So I don't expect people to have a lot of interest in elections if they don't receive services.
Right. And this brings me to my next question. I watched and read with interest that some of the shack dwellers in the Nelson Mandela Bay during the week, I think it was on Thursday, were protesting and going on hands-off on Odendaal, who is the outgoing mayor, and saying that they want him. Is there something that he particularly did to win the favor of these residents? Do you know anything about that?
Yes, I do. I actually, yesterday, I drove around there and I saw those people holding placards opposing the new turn of events or political developments. But I think they were just passed there to oppose the motion of no confidence against him. Yes, I mean, there have been some projects that I've seen around the city, just to be fair and square, initiated by the DA. But the problem with the DA is that it tends to gravitate too much to historically white suburbs, where you have a lot of people are part of the middle class. Of course, you might have a tiny minority of black people who stay there, but it doesn't reach out the way it should to historically black townships and colored townships. So that has been the criticism of the DA, but I think it does stand out on matters of administration in terms of getting the job done. But in terms of promoting development to the majority, it falls short.
Yeah. Professor Breakfast, because you are also a resident in Nelson Mandela Bay, what do you think should be Van Niekerk's top on the to-do list as he takes this position? You obviously are aware of the economic challenges that face the metro, the unemployment, the service delivery, etc. What do you think he should be focusing on as a matter of urgency?
Well, I think he needs to narrow down the divide between the haves and the have-nots, because that poses a threat to the stability of the metro. But to do that, you also need the involvement of communities. The other challenge is that there is too much criminality in townships. And I'm over the moon that when he was making his speech, he made reference to that is going to put the issue of gangsterism and also violence on his agenda. So I think those things are of paramount importance, especially the focus on townships. There is a lot of criminality that is taking place there.
Yeah, Professor Breakfast, let's hope he holds the position long enough to be able to effect any change. But thank you so much for making time to speak to us here on The Agenda.
Thanks.